We're here at the 2024 Hamptons Film Festival speaking with
Charles Wharburton
and Gabrielle Blackwood.
Nice to meet you both. Tell me a little about your film that's in the festival this year.
So we have a film called...
You could move the mic towards you a little bit? Yeah. Okay.
So our film, Norman, is about a man who, after 30 years, is trying to reconcile the trauma that he's gone through over the death of his mother, who was killed by his father.
So where did this subject matter come from? Tell me about the writer. Is this based on a true story? Is this something?
It's a documentary.
Oh, this is a documentary. I apologize. So speaking of the true story, that's terrifying. How did you dive into your research of the factual events that occurred?
There wasn't a lot of research. We knew we had to move quite quickly at the beginning. The dad was in the Jamaican jungle and up in the mountains living there. And the murder took place in Philadelphia 30 years ago. So we traveled with the son, who'd never met the dad as an adult, just to go look for him, try and find answers, and hope that the dad would cooperate and be on camera and answer the questions that we had for him.
Tell me about the producing aspect of this, because I feel like that might be a nightmare.
I think I've got some grey hairs from that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think not knowing. I mean, look, I had a great team, and we're co-directors, and Gabrielle is a cinematographer, so we're kind of a unit at that point, but him not knowing how much he'd be cooperative was the worst part of everything. So,
right. So how did you, not knowing what was going to come from it, like overcome the challenges that you had? Because if you're going into something not knowing about the end result or the final result, what did you do to make sure that you got what you needed?
I think leading up to it, because every time we had to shoot, Charles and I would go through, what questions we wanted to ask ahead of time, or what could possibly happen ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And in leading up to Norman Jr., he had an ideal in terms of, or what the possibilities could be when he meets his father. We didn't know what the setting would be. In his head, he was talking about the fields and trying to picture a Jamaica that he'd never been to. And I'm Jamaican, so I wasn't even familiar with the area itself. So I think when Charles and I were talking about it, even just technically, we were thinking, okay, we're going to shoot it fly on the wall. Anything can happen, kind of a thing. But who do we want to be following at that time, in that moment? And then who we're going to mic, and all the different scenarios. Even getting out of the car. Those simple things, like how are we going to address the unknown, as you mentioned. And as it turned out, it was an incredible reunion, I would say, we couldn't have predicted how it turned out. I think we could have predicted maybe how Norman Jr. would have reacted, but not his dad.
No, it was very emotional, but I think even from a producing standpoint, back to your first question, that just making sure that it was on camera when they met. When we arrived, it wasn't a proper address, so we had to look for the dad, and it was actually I can laugh about it now, but it was a disaster. But we actually locked Norman in the car to make sure that the reunion happened on camera. Just because we might find him, or he might find the car before we're in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
So that was, as a producer, my worst fear, that they would meet without the camera rolling.
Right. And you captured your magic moment because you're making sure that the camera was on, no matter how long it was needed.
Was set and ready. Once we found the dad, then we, opened the car door and made sure that they met in a distance away from the car.
Beautiful moment, and it all culminated into that. Yeah. So tell me about what kind of cameras did you use for the project?
So we shot with the Blackmagic cinema camera, both in Jamaica and in the States. And then, it's a documentary that has a mix of, digital camera footage, and then we also had vlogs from Norman himself. So leading up to the actual trip to Jamaica, we had him do some personal vlogs just to kind of capture where he was at emotionally in the lead up to meeting his dad, and just also give us a little bit of backstory into where he was coming from.
Nice.
In addressing that trauma, because he talks about all the things that he did in preparation. He changed his diet, he changed just meditation wise, like what he would do, who he would talk to. So it was a whole process for him, and I couldn't be there, and Charles couldn't be there at the times when, you know, he was going through all of that. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting story, and the fact that it was all able to come together, and your fears would wash away when you got what you needed. You're here in the Hamptons and going to enjoy it with audiences. Where can people go to find out more about the film?
Well, we're screening tomorrow, Sunday the 6th of October at the UA at 2:45. We're then going to Cambridge Film Festival and the Bahamas Film Festival. But up until then, those are the best places to find out where we're screening, and we're still trying to screen elsewhere after that.
Awesome.
There may possibly be another screening in New York later on in the year, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, our audiences that's watching this in New York, definitely stay tuned for that, and all of the other festivals, respectively, if you're near there, go and check it out. And we want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, and hope you enjoy the festival.